Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. So today I've got something pretty interesting in because it's from a brand that's actually not allowed to do any official business in the United States. The brand in question is Edwards, and it falls under the ESP family as another one of their more affordable brands. These are mainly assembled in China before being completed in Japan, which keeps quality up, while at the same time keeps the costs down. Since I've featured many LTD guitars in the past, a lot of you have been asking for an Edwards demo, especially since they aren't officially distributed outside of Japan. Same family brand, same price range, but how do they compare? Well, to help answer that question, the good people over at Zealot have bought this crazy looking Les Paul Strat thing off of Reverb for me to review. They've also installed their revolutionary LED-based guitar learning tool on the guitar, and we'll be giving all of this away, so stay tuned until the end of the video to learn more. Let's take a closer look. So, what exactly is this thing? So it's an Edwards. Edwards is owned by ESP and is distributed exclusively to the Japanese market. And why is that? Well, mostly for legal reasons. Edwards is best known, at least in the US, for their single cut models, which are too faithful to the original in Gibson's eyes. And to be fair, Gibson has a point. The shape and dimensions are exactly the same as a Les Paul Custom on their more popular models. So this one is a little more wacky, but even so, the only way that you can get Edwards guitars is either bring them back from Japan yourself or get them through one of the online marketplaces. In this case, Zealot snagged this one off of Reverb. Now before we get into the main bulk of the review, let me tell you a little bit about Zealot, who have sponsored this video. Well, sponsored by providing the guitar. I don't get any money. sad. But anyways, for someone like me, Fret Zealot is an invaluable tool. So the basic gist of it is that it's a learning tool that utilizes LED strips on the fretboard, but it's more than just RGB for your guitar, although you can just have it perform a light show if you want to. It connects to your smartphone via Bluetooth, and using the app you can control the LEDs. In my opinion, by far the most useful feature of the Fret Zealot system is that you can illuminate various chords and scales on the fingerboard. So if you're someone like me that learns by doing, I've tried before a number of times to learn the scales by pulling it up on the computer, doing exercise lessons, but it just didn't stick. Having it laid out for me, being able to mess with it in real time, this system made it click. Now, I'm not promising it'll be a magic solution for you. I'm just saying that for me, this is what I wish I had years ago. Now, I do have a couple of minor gripes. Firstly, the LED strips aren't removable, and the dongle for power is pretty distracting if it's not plugged in, so you're probably not going to want to put this on your main guitar. Secondly, the strips use this slightly sticky plastic, so since it goes over like the side dots of the fingerboard, it's not the same totally natural playing experience as if it wasn't there. It's not a massive hindrance, but you will notice it's there. Third, the current iteration only goes up to the 14th fret. Would have definitely liked for it to go up to all 22, even though it's just a repeat. It would just help me to have all the visualization in front of me. And lastly, it is pretty expensive. It's $200 on Amazon, so I can't recommend it to beginners. But if you've already decided that you are a guitar player and you're serious about improving your knowledge of the fretboard, this is a great tool, especially for kinesthetic learners, people that learn by doing. I found it so useful for writing. Like, I don't know all the notes in the G major scale off the top of my head yet, but I was able to come up with melodic ideas, get more familiar with the shapes, and write the solo for the demo track just by playing around with the illuminated notes, which is really cool. It's a ton of fun to just switch to the scales and see what flavors each set of illuminated notes brings to what you're writing. If that sounds interesting to you, you can learn more about Fret Zealot in the link below. Since we're giving this guitar away, I'm definitely getting another Fret Zealot system because I've found it incredibly useful for the type of learner that I am. But speaking of this guitar, let's get back to it. So what we've got here is actually a signature model for guitarist Inoran of the Japanese band Luna Sea, and it's been out of production for a while. It was made sometime in the 90s, which is why it's got an old style Edwards logo. Because it is such an uncommon model and there have been a couple of versions, it was a little difficult finding information on this specific one. Getting a full detailed spec sheet was next to impossible. Basically, from what I can gather, this is a Strat in Les Paul form. Now, shout out to my friend Tim from ESP Australia for doing a bit of digging about the specifics of this guitar. Unfortunately, all he was able to find was this picture from an old magazine. It says the body is made of soft maple. I'm not sure what that is, and also the control scheme is different in the picture, so based off of his other signature models, I believe that we have an alder body with a carved maple top because alder is a relatively soft hardwood, a bolt-on maple neck, and a 22 fret rosewood fingerboard with a 9.5 inch radius. Basically everything classic Strat apart from the body shape, which is pretty crazy, and I love it. Then the entire body has a satin black finish. On the used market, this model usually goes for about $800 to $1,000 US depending on the seller. Meanwhile, we managed to pick this one up for about $330 including shipping. So bearing that in mind, here's kind of what you can expect when you pick up a used Edwards at a steep discount. This guitar is at least 20 years old now, and somebody has played the absolute living crap out of it. There's some minor dings on the headstock, more noticeable ones on the body, the finish is scratched in most places. This guitar has seen some miles. When I got it, there was next to no output from the bridge pickup. Turns out there was a dirty switch. Now that it's been cleaned, no issues. So I actually chose this guitar for the video. Fret Zealot asked me if this is the one I was sure that I wanted because it wasn't even close to mint condition, and I said absolutely. Most of this channel's viewers don't live in Japan, so for most of us, if we're picking up an Edwards, we're going to be doing so off of eBay and Reverb, and prices vary wildly. So with this video, I wanted to test not only the quality of the guitar, but also what you can expect if you pick one up at such a heavy discount. So obviously, it's not in collector's condition, but there's a heck of a lot of guitar here for 300 bucks. The one big thing though is that this guitar is pretty close to needing a refret. That's to be expected for a guitar of this age. Again, this guitar has been well loved over the years, so I think originally it came with ESP's signature extra jumbo frets, and while they're still really wide, They are now pretty low and flat. That being said though, the neck itself is superb. It has that ESP thin U neck shape that I cannot get enough of. It feels exactly the same as the one on my ESP Eclipse 2 Standard, satin finish and everything. So good. My absolute favorite neck shape on a guitar that we managed to snag for 300-ish bucks. Incredible. Now when you're playing this, it definitely feels more like a Fender-esque instrument to a Gibson. Now that's because while it looks like a Les Paul, there's no neck angle. It's flat with the body, just like a Strat or Telecaster. Then the fingerboard radius, it is very round. As I mentioned, I couldn't find a spec sheet to confirm, but I'm 90% sure that it's got a 9.5-inch radius instead of a Gibson standard 12 inches. The body is quite thin, nowhere close to like a Les Paul Custom. It's only about 1 3/4 inches at its thickest point, and so it's quite light, though it's still well balanced with the strap. The body also has a nice ergonomic tummy cut on the back. Because of the thin body, even with the blocky bolt-on joint, upper fret access isn't really a problem. One thing it does retain from its traditional single cut side though is the 24 3/4 inch scale length. So when it comes to string bends and that kind of thing, it feels more like a Gibson. But even so, as I mentioned, the overall playing experience is more Fender-esque, and this is partly because of the bridge. It's not a Les Paul style raised tune-o-matic. It's a flat string through hardtail, again, like what you'd find on a Strat. We've also got what I'm relatively sure is a bone nut and Godot tuners, so tuning stability is a complete non-issue. But the biggest standout feature are the 3 single coil pickups in this Les Paul shaped guitar. The control scheme is a Fender style 1 volume 2 tone with a 5-way blade switch. And here is what they sound like through the dual rectifier. So pretty cool stuff. These single coils are beefy. They remind me a lot of what you'd find in the bridge position of a modern Telecaster, but in every position. So this guitar is insane. It's like Edwards nailed the parallel universe stuff before Fender even did. There seem to be a number of iterations of Inoran's signature models, some with tune-o-matics, some with humbuckers in the bridge, but this one is my favorite. It's like someone just cut and paste the electronics from a Strat into a Les Paul shape. I mean, it's like the perfect Strat for single cut fans like myself. You're getting Stratty tones out of a guitar shaped like a Les Paul. I will admit, it's probably not for everyone. In fact, a large amount of the response when I posted the teaser pics for this guitar was something along the lines of, kill it with fire. However, those people are fools. This combo is amazing. Now, none of that would matter if this was a crappy guitar. but it's not. I wish these Edwards guitars were more readily available in the US because, especially for the money, they are great guitars. You can also snag them off the used market for way less than the amount of guitar that you're getting, as demonstrated in the case of this one here. I actually did own an Edwards a long time ago, an ELP-105CE based off of the Les Paul Custom that Kirk Hammett uses a lot live for Nothing Else Matters, and this guitar is strongly making me regret ever selling that. In my experience, these Edwards are a lot closer on quality to Japanese ESP standard guitars, or I guess it's called E2 now, than even LTD. The build quality, the super comfortable neck, the genuine Goto tuners, and the fact that we managed to snag this one off of Reverb for just over 300 bucks is incredible. Speaking of which, quick side note, I am looking to add a specific Edwards to my stable. If anyone knows anyone with an ELP-112CE in dark purple satin based off of one of James Hetfield's Les Pauls, hit me up. I've been looking for one of those for years now. I want it so bad. Back to this guitar though, I'm pretty salty I don't get to keep it because it would be a great one for the collection, but I did agree to give it away to a good home, and here's how you can win it. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Fret Zealot and I are giving this crazy Strat Paul thing away to one of you. If you're already subscribed to the channel, all you need to do is follow me and Fret Zealot on Instagram. I've got a post of this E-I-85LP up. Leave a comment, tag 3 of your friends. Because the Fret Zealot is a learning tool, you can also give me the first riff you would learn on this guy if you want it. No right or wrong answers, I'm just curious, but the tagging is the important part. The winner will be randomly selected from the Instagram comments 1 week from now. So go, follow, tag 3 friends, and good luck. This guitar is great, it's incredibly uncommon, and usually goes for a lot more money than free, so you don't want to miss it. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. These are of course just my opinions and I'd love to hear yours, so leave them in the comments and subscribe if you haven't already. Shout out to Carlos Gonzalez and the rest of the awesome patrons for making this content possible. If you want to directly support me as well, the Patreon link is down below. As always, thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.